The day on which a man, mar is used for a man, and we'll talk about the difference between mar and rajul in a sec, inshallah. The man will escape or run away from. Now there are different words for running in Arabic. Rahaba, abaqa, farra. Farra is used when you run away from something that terrifies you. Farra is used when you run away from something that terrifies you. So if you were just going down the street, there's a wild dog drooling, and it's coming at you. When you run this time, this is farra. When you're jogging, this is not firar. Okay? When you're running from the spears of the enemy, this is firar. Okay? Now, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ. The human being will run in terror. Terrified running. From who? مِنْ أَخِيهِ. From his own brother. He'll see his brother, he'll be terrified of his brother and run. Now when you're terrified of someone, where do you find protection? With your brother, with your mother, with your father, with your family. In other words, you run from danger to these people. Allah is flipping the scenario and saying the day on which the human being will run away from his own brother. يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. Run in terror from his brother. Subhanallah. Why is this? Number one, your brother or your family, some scholars comment, it's very, very powerful. The family is the one you stay in contact with the most. Human beings deal with each other. Who do they deal with the most? Their own family. And when you deal with someone more, you have the chances of violating their rights more and more and more, because you deal with them more. So it's easier for me to be nice to someone I've never met. Hard for me to be nice to my cousin, because whenever we talk, whenever we get together at Eid, we get into a fight. Whenever my mother calls, my dad calls, he says something, I lose my cool, we get into it. Right? So, people violating each other's rights, where does that happen more? In the family. It happens more in the family. Husband violates the rights of the wife, the rights of the child, the rights of the parents, the rights of the brother. So when he sees one of them on the Day of Judgment, are they going to say, oh, you're my brother, it's all good, it's family, let it go, it's all... No, nobody cares. وَتَقَطَّعَتْ بِهِمُ الْأَسْبَابِ. All relationships will be cut off on that day. Nobody cares about anybody else but who? Themselves. Right? Allah describes the terror of that day. يَوْمَ تَذْهَلُ كُلُّ مُرْضِعَةٍ عَمَّا أَرْضَعَتْ. Every breastfeeding mother will drop whatever she used to feed. Allah didn't even say baby. He said whatever she used to feed, as though she doesn't even know what that is anymore. عَمَّا أَرْضَعَتْ. Not طِفْلِهَا. Right? عَنْ طِفْلِهَا. Not even that. Subhanallah. That's how powerful that day is. So when he sees his brother, he says, oh my God, I violated his rights. And I don't need to be dealing with him right now. And he's making firar. And now he runs from him. Who's the next thing he's running from? وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ. His mother. He's running away from his mother. He's running away from his father. And the other thing to run away from, the brother might say, you're my brother, give me some of your good deeds, man. We're from the same mother. The mother might say, I gave you birth, give me some of your deeds. The father might say, I provided for you, I paid for your college education. Let me have some of your salawat. Let me have some of your prayers. But no, he's running from them. And then وَصَاحِبَتِهِ. And his own wife. They shared a bed for many, many decades. And now he's running from her like he's terrified of her. Subhanallah. وَبَنِيهِ. And this child that he used to protect, this child that he would never lose his sight of, the pictures he would put in his office right next to his computer. Can't let go of the sight of this child. On this phone, little pictures of the kid. Right? This is my son. Pictures of the wedding of your son. Pictures of your grandkids. What people love the most when parents are separated from children, guess what they want the most? They look forward to the time they get to visit their children. This is what they live for, basically. To get to see the children. They die inside when they're not with their children. And here's the day when the parent is running away from his own child. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. The irony of this day, how everything's been turned around. Imagine this, subhanAllah, in our time, when there's a loss of family, especially if husband and wife are married for a long time, and the husband passes away, or the wife passes away. Look at the kind of, trauma that the husband or the wife go through, the loneliness, the sadness that they have, right? And in Christian discourse, it's become common, even Muslims start thinking like this, oh, I'm going to see them in heaven. Right? They have this whole thing, oh, they're up in heaven, they're waiting for me, and we're going to be together. Before heaven, let's worry about the Day of Judgment first. And on the Day of Judgment, you're not going to be holding hands saying, let's go through this together. You'll be running from each other. Subhanallah. The picture Allah paints, it's so graphic, it's so powerful. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is reminding, in the beginning there was istighna. I don't care. There was this lax attitude about this message. Nice speech, thanks. Right? But at the end, Allah is basically reminding the people why this is so critical. This is not a joking matter. This is not something to take lightly. This is not intellectual exercise. This is a serious, serious matter. So serious, when you realize that, what the consequences of that day are, you'll be running from everyone you loved. People you used to run towards, you'll be running away from. Imru'un comes from muru'a, chivalry, selflessness, nobility of a man, where he's willing to give up part of himself for others. Ma'am, let me get those bags for you. Let me help you cross the street, right? Let me carry the furniture, not you. You stay back, right? When men do that, they're expressing their muru'ah. Allah says this mar, who was so chivalrous and so noble and dignified, what's he doing on that day? لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ. From every one of them, what's he going to do? يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ. On that day there will be a sha'n. Sha'n is an issue, a matter, an affair that is very, very important. That's very important for you and it's appropriate to you. For example, this word sha'n is used for Allah Himself. كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي sha'n. Right? It's used for Allah. Every day He is involved in an important task. In some kind of important and befitting task. Allah says on that day, every single person will be involved in such an important task. What is that task? Remembering what they worked towards in the previous surah. يَوْمَ يَتَذَكَّرُ الْإِنسَانِ مَا سَعَى. Right? They will be so involved in that task will have the effect, يُغْنِيهِ. He means something that is so important, and it makes you so obsessed with what you're doing, it makes you forget and not worry about anything else. Some of you are programmers, you've got a deadline tomorrow, and you've got like 20 pages of code to write. You're sitting there writing, your child comes and says, look at my artwork. Dad, I drew this. You care? Yeah, beautiful. The wife says, dinner's ready. Yeah, okay. 4 hours go by, you didn't eat dinner. Because you have ighna. Everything else, you're not worried about right now. Everything becomes unimportant when this is important. Allah says on that day, people will be so engaged in an important matter that everything else will become unimportant. How is this a contrast from the beginning? In the beginning, we saw the attitude of the kafir, who to him this message is unimportant, everything else is more important. That's why he has istighna, amma man istaghna. SubhanAllah, on that day he will not have istighna. On that day he will have something to deal with that will make him have ighna of everything. It will make ighna for everything else for him. It will make him unconcerned about everything else. وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ مُسْفِرَةٌ.